What was that idea that was narrated to you that hooked you?
उसके लिए तो फिल्म देखनी पड़ेगी आपको. You have to be so selfish.
There are so many movies I had said no to in Hindi with really big actors.
First film was with Majid Majidi. मतलब मैं क्या ही बोलूँ. And the last film was with Vikram. 12 hours before she was shooting with Prabhas.
God.
Rajni sir, Vijay sir, Vikram sir, Prabhas.
And now Siddhant Chaturvedi.
आपने तारीफ ही कर दी हमारी एक तरह से.
Hi Siddhant, hi Malavika, welcome
Hi.
to Midday. And this looks great. I had watched the first trailer at this, this private screening, and I think I had met you there, and Ravi was also there. And I remember feeling, and I am personally not an action fan, but that kind of really engrossed me and immersed me. And I felt like if action has to be, it should be immersive. You buy into it from the first moment and you just want to see what happens next. And in that context, I found it very thrilling. And I'm sure it would have been thrilling for both of you also when, the script came your way. So if I start with you, Siddhant, how did you react to that script? And I think you told me that this was just after Gully Boy.
Yeah.
The first film which you actually kind of, put yes to.
Yeah.
So how was that?
See, the thing is, the ideation was Sridhar sir and Farhan sir together. So I had said yes from the very, ideation of it. And Ravi sir was attached, and they kind of gave me like a 5-pager thing. The script was still like, the dialogues was written by Farhan sir and Akshat. So and these are like the best people ever. So I was very secure about that. I loved the idea. I loved the story. The ideation was so amazing, and the makers, the people who are making this were like, I mean, I always wanted to work with Farhan sir on this, with Ravi sir. I loved his first film, Mom. And to be able to get to do an action film so early in your career with, the best people there. So I mean, I was on. I was like, let's do this. And then yeah, I mean, the pandemic happened, so we couldn't shoot a lot because we were supposed to start the shooting, but we couldn't because of the pandemic. And then because there were a lot of international scenes, and there was this international crew as well. But yeah, eventually everything came in place, and we made this mad ride for you guys to enjoy.
But what was that idea that was narrated to you that hooked you?
उसके लिए तो फिल्म देखनी पड़ेगी आपको. वो तो फिल्म में होगा ना. वो आइडिया कैसे बता दूं क्या है आपको.
Siddhant giving the right hook moments.
Yeah, फिल्म नहीं, genuinely मतलब वो बता नहीं सकता.
No, I get it. But for you, Malavika, was in 2020 beginning or 2019 itself that you had also gotten locked and you'd also really liked what you were told?
Firstly, I have to add to what you said when you mentioned that action is not really a genre as an audience, but something about the trailer really hooked me, because that's exactly how I felt. My personal things I enjoy watching, I enjoy more of like drama and romantic films or even science fiction, like so many other things. But action has never been like has never called out to me. But when I saw a trailer as well, I was just like, wow, that looks really cool and very, very fresh compared to what even I've seen. In the current fabric of Indian cinema. So you took the words out of my mouth, because I've been saying the exact same thing to people, so I had to mention that. When I got, it's funny how I got approached for this film, because Rahul Dholakia, the director of Rais, fantastic director, if I may add that as well, he was in talks to make a film at that point with XL, and he really wanted me to play one of the roles, and I had tested for that part. He wanted to see how I fit into that. And next thing I know, I get a call from, XL, from Ritesh Sirvani. And I was like, oh, it's for that. And they were like, no, it's actually for this other film that we're doing. And we're looking for a girl for that. And that's when they met me. And then I met Ravi sir, and he told me about the film. And I've always believed that it's you're only as good as the makers you work with. You could be a fantastic actor, you could be a bland actor, you could be a bad actor. It's never a solo project, it's a group project. So it has to be, work with good HODs, good makers, good producers, and everything about...
Co-actors.
Good, of course. Fantastic co-actors. Everybody involved has to be, and that's exactly what this was. Plus it's sexual entertainment, who are known to make who've made some of my favorite films, Dil Chahta Hai, Dawn, Lakshya, so it was a no-brainer for me.
Right. But to both of you, when of course you sign it, and then if you can't start shooting for it because pandemic happens, so you guys kind of move on to other things, and it's the thing that when we are able to do that, we'll come back to it. But that gap of it, that uncertainty, especially on a film like this, which needs outdoor shooting, right? It's not a film that you can just it like you said, a drama would be a very differently short thing. This needs more crew, to be out and about. Did that worry both of you at that time that, okay, we've signed this, but when are we really going on floors?
I think that's the pandemic as a whole. Just there was just this, everything was so certain. I remember I had this one film, Master, in Tamil that was up for release, and suddenly, and we'd done the audio launch and everything, and the film was just going to come out in a couple of weeks, and suddenly the lockdown got announced, and everything, all our dates were so like chock-a-block at that point. And that initially, I think when lockdown was announced, it was supposed to be like a 10-day or 2-week thing or something.
Yeah.
And we were just going nuts about that. We were like, oh no, 2 weeks, how would we accommodate this and then that? And little did we know that those 2 weeks would end up turning into months and months, right? So I think more than one particular project, it was this looming uncertainty and just the stagnancy of things that kind of got to me personally.
What about you, Siddhant? Because you also did other things in between.
Yeah.
So was it like, did you feel like it happened for the right thing because you went on to do Bunty or Bubbly, you went on to do Gehraiyan, and this would have otherwise come earlier, right? If the shoot had happened.
Yeah.
So was it also by design for you? Did you want to do other stuff before getting into this, and that's why the delay also kind of helped?
Well, as I said, it was just an ideation. So they were working on the script that time. And in that time, I got offered these two great films. So I just requested Ritesh sir that, sir, anyway, you need some time to kind of prep this up because this one's a very big scale, and also that responsibility is huge on me. Let me go out, work and get some equity. Let me, do these things because as an action film, you need some kind of equity. I was very new that time, so I thought the responsibility also, I need like strong shoulders to carry this on. So that was a part of the thing. Then I was ready, but then the pandemic happened. So yeah, things just kept happening like that, and then eventually, I think whatever happens for the
As
best.
actors, we can never time things.
Yeah.
We just can't, because
So
so much
true.
is we can only go and do what's expected out of us. We can give the character our all. But after that, there are so many other factors involved,
So true.
But I'll tell you one thing, that throughout the pandemic, we were constantly having readings, and we were in touch with Ravi sir as well, with Ritesh sir as well. I was training on my own at my house because I built a little gym, because this kind of action also required a lot of prep, and prep not in terms of only the physique, but prep in terms of reflexes, mobility, because I don't want any kind of injury so that the production gets a little pushed. And I knew the responsibility and the weight of this film on me, so I prepared myself in every way possible physically. And mentally anyway, we were jamming a lot throughout the pandemic. And so yeah, I mean, the prep was back of my head always. I never like moved on in a way where like, acha ye jab hoga tab hoga, kabhi aisa nahi hua. I always kept feeling that this is one of the most special films which I have to do, and I also have to kind of, in a way, I was kind of scared. Sometimes what happens is, because of the pandemic, the whole business, the whole commerce of the industry went a little upside down, and and even after the pandemic opened, it took some time for the industry to get back on track. In that scenario, a lot of any other producer would have backed out, or maybe because mounting a film on, because it's all about the returns, right? But just because Farhan sir and Ritesh sir and Ravi sir, they had immense faith in me and the script, they went on with it, and we created this, this mad ride for you guys to, board. So yeah, I think, I mean, it's all respect and kudos to the producers to have so much faith in me that, and so much faith in the script,
Right.
or else it wouldn't have happened.
Correct, and that too, like you said, a film like this, it's not a small scale film.
Yeah, especially
It's
when the
also-
market is so volatile.
Yeah,
You never know, like, okay, we're making this film with this new boy, what if it doesn't open? And I'll state facts, what if it doesn't open? You know, because as much as I can say, okay, I was loved in Gully Boy, but the film was not on my shoulders. As much as I can say, okay, I was loved in Gully Boy, but the film was not on my shoulders. I was a surprise in a way where people found, okay, this is a new guy, on the map. But it takes guts. It takes like real guts, and I think that's why they're game changers in everything which they do. Every project which they do is always pushing it ahead and pushing it more and more. And that they never do it for the commerce. Commerce anyway follows them. They always like something like a Gully Boy. It would if you take that script to any other producer, it would be called an indie film, and it created such a huge pop culture event. And you see what's, in a way, it kind of gave a boost to the rappers. So they always have faith in the script and the people who are doing it. So I think I've had a look,
and I also feel it's very interesting, and like you said, it's also quite brave of them.
Yeah.
In a way, because I was just sitting here and thinking that it's not happened in a very long time.
Yeah.
That you have a relative newcomer, right? Even your experience in Hindi films is so limited right now,
Yeah.
And of course you are a big name pan-India, because I think you are someone who's worked in almost all languages. But to be, both of you were also signed at that time, right?
It's my first Bollywood.
Yeah, Beyond the Clouds, would we count that as a Hindi
I
film?
wouldn't count that. It's a Hindi language film. Yes, but
it's not a Bollywood
it's more
film.
of this crossover film, right? It's an Iranian,
Correct.
director working with, working on a story that's happening in
First film was with Majid Majidi, मतलब मैं क्या ही बोलूं. And the last film was with Vikram.
Yeah.
ये बात मतलब मुझे प्रेशर आ रहा है बैठ के यहाँ पे यार. Wow. Actually, if you think of it like that.
But both of you are also in that sense,
And
in different ways
12 hours-
outsiders, right?
12 hours before she was shooting with Prabhas. Which is flown down.
God.
Dude, like,
Wow.
what? Is it truth? He
Yeah.
worked with like
Can't deny.
Rajni sir, Vijay sir, Vikram sir, Prabhas. Wow.
And now Siddhant
Siddhant
Chaturvedi.
I mean, that's please don't name me in this list.
But I was just thinking that you don't have such sort of, these sort of launches are mostly reserved for people who come from the industry. We launch you like this, we launch you like an action hero. And what I remember founding, even then when Yudhra was announced, I found that very refreshing about the announcement that it is with a guy who did this one film with them, right? Gully Boy, where he was not the lead actor. He's a find.
Yeah.
And now they're betting on him.
Yeah.
He comes from outside the industry, and they want him to have the kind of hero projection that they feel he deserves.
Yeah.
And to me, today, that kind of makes even more, that becomes even more prominent when your biggest stars at times fail, right? I want to ask both of you and when you watch Yudhra trailer, it's also very massy. It has that style, but it's also very, zim, bing, bang sort of a thing. And for that you need a lot of screen presence.
Yeah.
And I feel like, how do you feel, both of you, about this genre, you being in this genre? Because that becomes so much about an actor's way of projecting himself or herself to the audience, because you're backed so much by your charisma. Was that ever nerve-wracking to be in this space?
I mean, आपने तारीफ ही कर दी हमारी एक तरह से. Questions ज़्यादा आपने तारीफ ही, हमारे अंदर presence है मालविका.
No, but of course it does look like that.
Firstly, thank you for saying that.
Actually, thank you so much.
Thank you for saying
More than
that.
a question, it's a compliment.
Yeah, it's more of a. It seems more like a rhetorical question the way you framed
Yeah.
it. It's like you've said it all. So I'm wondering what more to add to it. But no, I know what you mean. It's like, I'll tell you one part of it that did freak me out a little bit, which I hadn't done before. I'd never done a romantic song, like I've done montage song, but I hadn't done like Sathiya, our first track that came out. I'd never done a song like that. And for me, I've grown up on Bollywood films. For me, that is so quintessentially Bollywood. And to do something like that, it was just like, oh, I have to get this assignment right. I need to look the part. You need to, like sing the mime the lyrics. It's all. It was a new experience for me. We shot on this exotic location. So it does feel larger than life in moments. And then you're kind of figuring along the way, like how to do it better and better, and kind of like just the journey.
Right. What about you, Siddhant?
See, I'm aware of my craft, and beyond that, the perception which the people hold or the producers hold of me is something which is not in my control. As much as I would try to portray myself as, okay, this is what I want to portray, I am very bad at portraying in real life, or portray and dreams don't go in the same sentence for me. My dreams, yes, they were always big to, be there in the forefront.
Be a Hindi film hero.
Yeah. But at the same time, I also am very, very attached to the craft which I do. So I just can't do anything just for the sake of it. It's not like there were not films where I could have done it, but I need some kind of gravity in the story, some kind of
Yeah, I know. I personally know of such cool films you've said no to.
yeah.
Yeah, and any other person in his play, like I'm sure people have told, oh, you're being, why would you say no to this? But he's always had this conviction of, going with his gut.
Some substance needs to be
There should be substance. At the same time, there should be enough. I need to control the craft. The rest is not in my control. And yeah, that's all it is.
So much of it is intuitive also, no?
Yeah.
Like what pulls you? There are some things that make sense on paper, like all the tick marks are there, but it's not really calling out to you, and you don't know why, And to explain even to a management team that no, like something about it I'm not connecting to, it's hard to do. But then in the long run, it always plays out. Like something you figure out like why you were not drawn to it, and vice versa. Some things just pull you.
Yeah.
It might not be the conventional route to take or something like that, There are so many movies I had said no to in Hindi with really big actors that I'd said no to because I didn't connect to the character in that particular context, or I didn't see myself being presented in that particular manner, or it's not the first film I saw myself in Hindi, for various reasons. And somewhere like Yudhra really, like in a lot of ways, Yudhra connected with me, obviously, which is why I wanted to be a part of it. So there's always so many.
There's a duality, I feel, as a, such a beautiful thing that you have to be so selfish with respect to the brand who you are, but you have to be so selfless with respect to the craft you
I
invest in.
think that's a conflict that an actor
Yeah.
will always have.
But I feel it's because of that, no? Because we are so selfless with how much we give that you have to be selfish in regards to what you choose to give it to.
So true, so true. But when you choose a Yudhra, as a female star, would it not ever bother you, or did it ever have any sort of apprehension that in an action film, what would a heroine do? Because typically we've seen.
I want you to watch the film. That's what's gonna break stereotypes. I am so excited for the people to watch it. Every doubt about this is gonna. When I watched it 3 days back, the final DCP, I was so proud. I was like, I know it's gonna break a lot of stereotypes about what's been happening or people what they have been talking about. It's gonna flip because this girl, as beautiful as she is, running on that beach, romancing me, she's as brutal as anybody in the film. So, and not a damsel in distress. Absolutely not. She's one of the strongest. She's like as strong as I am in the film. I can't do what I'm doing in the film without her character.
It's very cute that this aspect of it excites Siddhant so much. He gets his childlike glee when he speaks about it. It's so cute.
No, because I'll tell you, because see, I've been raised by women all around me, like my mom, and then in the film industry, it's kind of Zoya. My first, I have that filter, I have that little thing. If it is like, I cannot enjoy something which I feel is just, will not, kind of translate or will not have a good effect on the masses or the audience. So I have, personally, that's me personally, I would not talk about anybody else, but I feel proud when, women are presented in a stronger, in the most raw and strong
You're quite
way.
a cheerleader about that. I've noticed that even in the past. He's quite, go girl.
I always like women stronger than me, or even the protagonist of the film.
That's wonderful.
Because that's what it is. I mean,
Even though it's an action film, she holds her own. And she has her own agency. She's got agency.
That's wonderful.
which is nice. And I mean, you know more when you watch the film.
Yeah.
But it's nice, and I like the character. Like she's got, there's this whole graph that she has. You see like a certain version of her in the first half, and then so as an actor, it was nice to kind of play that graph and bring those layers. It wasn't just like one tone. So yeah.
Yeah, lastly, Malavika, having, of course, you are an active actor in the Malayalam film industry. And I would
Not really, actually.
I mean, you've done four.
I started off with Malayalam. I did a couple of films in Malayalam, but I primarily worked a lot in Tamil.
Right. But I think you worked, your last Malayalam film was in 2023, if I'm not wrong.
I did one Malayalam movie after a lot of years.
Yeah.
But my main body of work in the last few years has been Tamil.
Tamil, correct.
And I'm currently working on my first Telugu film with Prabhas.
Right.
So these are the current happenings.
Right. But tell me, when you read a report like a Justice Hema Committee report, does that shock you as an actor who's been part of the industry, or did it feel long overdue?
I have very strong opinions about it, but I would rather speak about it at a separate time and not speak about it when I'm speaking about the film, because it's not a one-line answer. It's not it's not something I can just wrap up in a couple of minutes when we're on a clock. It's something I would want to speak about a little more responsibly as a woman. So maybe a separate conversation.
Right, but then lastly, I'll also have to ask Siddhant. Siddhant, as a movie star, you are in a power position, and I wanted to understand from you that as a man working in the industries, holding the power that, like I said, a film star has, how do you make sure that women working around you, with you, feel safe?
As an industry or the people I worked with till now, we've been very aware of the safety of women and the safety of each and every event technician on floor. See, making sure it's an environment that you create for a woman to feel safe, right? And it starts from the day you start working on that film, right from the way you approaching any kind of scene. You have to make sure that the person is feeling easy, the person is feeling comfortable. And if that's not the case, then you obviously red flag that. You obviously talk to your first AD, or you talk to your director, talk to your producers, and you also kind of listen to the problems of whatever a woman might be facing that time. So listening is, I think, the most important part, which I think I cannot say that you also are working, you're involved in your own character, you're not aware of a lot of things that happen on a side. But as you kind of get to know, you need to talk about it, you need to listen carefully of the things which are happening, which are making that person uncomfortable. So I think listening is the most powerful tool which people do not do, because listening is, I'm not just saying that hear anybody out, I'm saying listening and processing it. Listening and processing and going to the very root of it, that why is it even happening? And even if it's happening, then how did we as a responsible crew let this happen? We should always kind of fact check everything, or whoever's working, everybody should come from a good reference point, I would say. I mean, that is one of the things, so to make sure, and that is the responsibility of every man, even the women on the set, to kind of look out for each other, because it's almost like a family. And when things happen like that, it really kind of ticks off the energy of the set. And it's just not because, it just happened with somebody else, so you will carry on. No, it really ticks off, and that needs to be addressed right there, right then. That's what I feel, and that's what I have to contribute in that.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Like you said, I think listening, so much of what women want to say would actually be heard if men listen.
Exactly.
And I think that's wonderful that you said. And all the best, both
Thank
of you,
so
for
much.
Yudhra. Really, really looking forward to this, and especially what you spoke about her character. So now,
I'm really
very, very
excited.
excited for that as well.
I mean, you've had a private...
I love women, kicking asses.
So you've had a private trailer screening. Now you'll also have a screening. We'll call you. We'll show you the film before that.
Yes, thank you so
you'll
much.
Be proud.
Yeah, and all the best for
Thank
the
you.
madness that Bollywood awaits you. Thank you so much, both of you. All the best.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.